it has got worse every year since then. Why has not enough money been allocated for maintenance, and why do my residents have to endure this revolting smell every year in this otherwise beautiful area? And we have been told about the chalk. Will this actually get rid of the smell, or will it just take the first layer off, which is, and also it will make the lake more alkaline, yes, more alkaline and less acidic, which is actually making the lake less environmentally friendly for the wildlife. Thank you.
I think I've answered most of the points to that already. All I will say about the treatment is we have taken expert advice and we believe that this has a fair chance of being successful, but as I said again, we will be monitoring it. And I do hope that what we do will have a continuing ability to maintain this at levels that we can afford.
Councillor Owen.
Thank you. In the 2015-16 medium-term financial plan, the funding for either a rebuild or refurbishment of Bulmersh Leisure Centre has been deferred until 2017-18. Please will you tell me why?
Thank you for that question, Beth. And I think in part you saw the answer to this question last night. But you will of course understand that the capital scheme in the medium-term financial plan beyond the budget of the Council is speculative in nature and represents our best understanding of possible future requirements. The deferral of the funding marker for the Bulmersh Leisure Centre within that is as a means of ensuring clarity regarding our approach to the continued provision of leisure facilities in Woodley. The provisional capital programme had originally set funding aside as £7 million for 2016-17 and £5.7 million in 2017-18 based on a full rebuild or refurbishment of the centre. These timings were originally determined prior to this council's assumption of the lease and the operational management being transferred to One Life, and were thus not based on a full assessment of the sustainability of facilities at Bulmersh nor the economics of their enhancement in the short term. There is not as yet a consensus of the best options for improving Bulmersh. These will be determined once we've begun the appropriate high impact consultations that such proposals warrant. To be clear, there is no preferred model at this time. Options must be widely considered, including within the context of the renewal of the wider leisure contract. We remain completely committed to the provision of high-quality, accessible swimming and sporting facilities at Bulmersh and support for the needs of Bulmersh School, and the recent works, which I referred to earlier and you saw last night, will ensure that we sustain the existing facilities over the next 3 years, during which the consultations on options and the parallel process of re-procuring the leisure contract will be undertaken.
Thank you, Angus. The report on the alternatives for Bulmersh Leisure Centre has been around for 2 years now, if not longer. I can see no reason why Woodley should not have the same quality facilities as the remainder of the borough. Again, Woodley is shortchanged.
This rate will have everything.
You did. It was you I saw last night, wasn't it?
No.
The transformation that we have provided there and the investment that we and One Life have put into that facility, which I believe is now better than many of the other facilities in the borough. That money is being invested for the benefit of Woodley. It will be put to good use. It will not be thrown away in the short term whilst we consider what is best for that centre for the people of Woodley.
Thank you. My question is for the Executive Member of Planning and Highways. Park and Ride is a way of reducing traffic. At the moment, our Park and Ride sites are looking to be single destination. Is the Council looking at the possibility of adding multi-destination buses which could serve other locations such as the new town centres and stations to reduce the car parking problems?
Thank you, Councillor Fulton. As you know, we are building 2 park and rides at the moment, and there's a third one on cars. In the past, our park and rides would have always been single destination, but it is my plan as part of the parking strategy, not only for the borough but for the town centre, to look at the possibility of working with bus companies and having multi-destinations, which could take in, say, work in the town centre. Why should we be sending everybody to Bracknell and Reading? And also it will help at stations such as Twyford, where Crossrail will be coming in a few years' time, and they already have a parking problem. So yes, it's something that we will be seriously looking at.
Yeah. Is there supplementary? No. Councillor McKenna.
Thank you. Information on Wokingham Borough Council's website about what S106 money developers' contributions has not been kept up to date. One of the reports is missing, and this is not very open or transparent. However, going from what now appears to be on the website, the February 2015 report of developer contributions by parish shows £5.3 million of S106 contributions are either received or owed by the borough for Woodley. How much of this has been identified in the capital programme for the next 3 years?
Thank you, Tom, for giving me the opportunity to explain how much we're spending in Woodley. I do apologise on behalf of the officers and myself for the information not being updated on the website. I get it in hard copy, as does Prue, every month, so there's no secret. Okay. Of the 5.3 million, the following has been identified for the capital programme. Active projects on the 14-15 capital programme, environment £102,000. It's all right, I'll give you a copy of this. Community and leisure £172,000. Libraries £7,000. Education £173,000. Environment, pending projects, which basically environment, transport, so, but pending projects for 15, 16 and onwards in the capital programme, environment £996,000. Community and leisure £349,000. And education £2.8 million. There is stuff which is at a feasibility stage. Projects, what always happens, as Angus pointed out earlier, things do tend to change, but they're at the feasibility stage at the moment, and they're not projects on the capital programme. And they are £128,000 for environment, £367,000 for community and leisure, and libraries £64,000. Okay, the money recently received, which is awaiting allocation, is £0.2 million, £200,000.
Yes, could you just tell me what that actual total's up to? Would be very handy. I assume you've got that and is a bottom number. My supplementary question is, of that amount of money, it is extremely difficult for local people to understand where and when this money is being allocated, when the council allocates its capital programme and changes it as a whim. As an example, the Bulmers money being bounced for 2 years. I hope this council undertakes to spend this money in time and in calendar year and to budget.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. Tom, it may surprise you, but my colleague here will not let me change anything at a whim. The last time I was asked, I remember somebody asked me about the Winner's Relief Road, where was the money for it? And I explained to them very clearly the Winner's Relief Road money, because it would change priorities, because it was coming forward sooner, would appear in the capital programme. Now, with regards to you finding out, this information is all available. It's not hidden anywhere. Prue gets this information, she can ask for it, she's on Squig. There's no reason why you can't see this information. If you feel there's anything going on which is underhand or you don't think represents value for money, I would suggest you ask for the information.
It should be open to the residents for meetings.
Thank you, Madam Mayor.
Thank you.
I'm frequently asked what is happening about the Community Hub Library in Twyford. I know that this is not my ward, but it does affect my residents as we call it Twyford. Could you please provide me with an update on progress so far and an estimated date when something might happen? Thank you.
Certainly, Bob. I won't repeat what I just said about the funding today. Since December, since the last meeting in December, we've had 2 meetings with the interested parties, which are Twyford and Charlwood Councils, the Thames Valley Partnership, Twyford Village Partnership, the Theatre Company, the Polehampton Trust themselves, and the History Society. Discussions also continue with the police about their interest in jumping into the help. Since Christmas, we've agreed the minimum spec with the architect. There's been a detailed site survey, which was jointly funded by all the interested parties, which shows a sign of their commitment. And that enabled the architect to tweak the plans, including moving the building slightly, because we discovered the railway line wasn't quite where he thought it was. It would have been a bit unfortunate otherwise. The architect has redesigned the building as a result. We discussed it at the last meeting and have now agreed the redesign. Conversations are ongoing with the listed building officers, because obviously this would be an adjustment to a listed building in the Polehampton building itself. The architect is doing further refining of plans as a result of those conversations, and we hope to submit the planning application shortly. Separately, somebody who's connected to Polehampton Trust has made a nice model of the proposed building, and we're hoping to provide that to local groups in the area so that the local residents can get a better idea of what's being planned.
Councillor Tyson.
Yes, sorry, I just realised I hadn't answered Tom McKenna's question, so I've asked my colleague to add it up for me, and it actually comes to £5.3 million. The other thing I would say...
There's a surprise.
The other thing I would just say while I'm here is we did not reroute the bus, but I'm quite prepared to work with you, Beth and Reading Transport to try and get the route changed if that's what you require.
The residents
Councillor
require.
Lees, do you have a supplementary?
I did, thank you, Madam Mayor. It's just a point of clarification, because I know when you answered Councillor Tomlin, you mentioned something about the assets. Is any of that going to be used towards assisting with funding of the Community Hub Library?
Just to be clear, we're looking at the whole site, and if we do move the library into the new Library Hub building, that will free other land on the site. So we're looking at what we can do with that land to generate revenue to actually enhance the amount of money available to support the community hub. But in the end, it will be a mixture of fundraising from various different bodies, local funding, and also contributions from the borough. So it's a joint project. At the end of that, I would expect that we should have some form of joint governance over the whole thing, so that the building is owned and operated by local residents, and that they have a real engagement in the whole hub and are interested in keeping it going.
We now have approximately 2 minutes left, so Councillor Bowen, please.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. Another question for Pauline. I found the introduction of Modern Gov into the Council's website of great help, especially when searching previous Council agendas and minutes for relevant information. Would the Executive Member for Resident Services please indicate what future enhancements we can expect using this new software?
Thank you, Chris. I think I'm becoming the new Keith Baker, being asked all the questions. The new software has already made it easier for the public to access council information more easily and become involved in local democracy through a clearer website, better search, and automated notification of specific items registered as an interest. It's also introduced new levels of transparency about attendance at meetings, details about councils, including the ability to add information such as timing of surgeries and social media contact information. I must make a note there before everybody dives into the attendance at meetings items. That's only since Modern Gov has started, so don't assume that because your councillor has no attendance, it means that they haven't attended anything. It's only actually been updated in the last couple of weeks. We're not going to retrofit all the old agendas and meetings and stuff, and it's looking rather strange, onto the site, but it will track attendance going forwards. It is important that to the council that residents got the first set of improved services. In the coming months, the council will use the system to deliver improvements within the organisation, including substantial reductions in the volume of printed paper used at meetings, improved information security because of less paper, easy access to calendars. You can already see the calendar on the website, so you can see when the council meetings are. Key information such as the Constitution and yearbook, which will improve efficiency of processes such as setting up of meetings. more efficient processes and administration for essential councillor items, automated reminders and tasks to ensure maximum attendance at meetings and attention to key tasks, proper workflow so that things can get approved properly, and less money spent on postage and document delivery. Future enhancements include incorporation of the Council's e-petition section into Modern Gov, a workflow process which should speed up the passage of formal reports to Council and committees, and in association with the Council's election software, inclusion of election results on Councillors' web pages.
Thank you. Unfortunately, we have no time for a supplementary.
I didn't have them anyway.
Good. Okay. We are moving straight on to agenda item 90, where a period of 20 minutes is allowed for members to ask questions in relation to the latest circulated volume of minutes of meetings and board matters. And please note, no supplementaries are allowed. Please show those who would like to speak. Councillor Lee, please.
Thank you very much. I read with interest today in the Woking News about how wonderful our housing is, and I would just like to ask, I think, Councillor Kaiser. It says here, Woking Borough Council spent 96 million buying back its housing stock, so it could collect all the rents and reinvest the money in social housing. Can you tell me how well that has worked, Councillor Kaiser? And I suppose on behalf of my colleague over here, have we spent any in the houses in Woodley?
Actually, I could answer the one in Woodley.
Well, I think, David, you will know, being involved with working in housing in the past, that we have the opportunity to refurbish one of our less salubrious buildings, which is now called Phoenix rather than Eustace Crescent. That's allowed us to do that. That will provide 78 or I think 72 living accommodations, and we're doing fosters as well. And we also have a programme that we would never have been able to do in the past, where we'd be looking at some of our older, less desirable social housing, where we would be looking to refurbish that across the borough. Thank you.
Councillor Gilbert, please.
Thank you. This is a question. Thank you, Councillor Kaiser, for your comments, because my thing is, my residents from Southlake feel that they've been disenfranchised by the withdrawal of the number 19 bus. Their only direct route to both the Royal Berkshire Hospital and GP surgeries. One of my residents this week informed me that it had cost her £40 in 1 week to go to the doctor and to go to the hospital, which is an incredible amount from pensioners. The elderly, less mobile residents have to either drive or get someone else to drive them for essential medical appointments. And the young mothers, of course, have to either walk or get someone else to drive them. When will this service be restored and Southlake residents be treated fairly? Thank you.
I think I answered that earlier. We didn't change the bus route, Reading Buses did, but I'm quite happy to work with you to consult with Reading Buses to see whether or not they would reinstall that route.
Thank you.
Councillor Orland, please.
Thank you. I drove down one of the main roads in Lower Early today on my way home, and would like to congratulate Councillor Kaiser on the lovely road surface that it will be when it's finished. However, when I got home to Fairwater Drive, that was a different world entirely.
That's Woodley, bad.
There are signs all the way along Fairwater Drive indicating that the length of the road will be repaired, or should already have been repaired by now. Woodley Town Council had a report from Reading Buses to say that Fairwater Drive is the worst road to drive on in Woodley. We've now discovered that only about 10% of the road will be repaired, from the roundabout by Bullmarsh Leisure Centre to the top of Antrim Road. Once again, the residents of Southlake, and in particular one of my residents who rides a motorbike up there and puts his life in danger every day, would like the whole of Fairwater Drive to be repaired. When is it going to be done? And residents in Southlake treated fairly.
It may surprise everybody in the chamber, but I don't wake up in the morning and think, I won't do that road. I mean, we want to do as many of the roads as we possibly can. But I mean, we have an issue, two issues first of all. The first is we're the lowest funded authority in the country. Now the other issue, as I said earlier on, Woking Borough Road Network is a unique problem. It's serving the high level of car ownership. It means it's trickier to maintain. Nobody's going to thank me for resurfacing roads when we're doing major work on places like Showcase Cinema, where the whole traffic will grow to a halt. We have to do it in phases. Unfortunately, as we do it, it will mean it will appear it's going on forever, because as we finish one phase, we will do another. But unfortunately, that's the situation we're in.
So in other words, it's never going to be done.
Can you guarantee that the grass in Twyford will be cut and kept at reasonable length this year, so small children and small animals don't get lost? It's an absolute disgrace.
The grass grew.
You can see a deer in the night.
Yeah, there was a deer. Deer enjoyed it very much, thank you.
Shocking.
We have a picture of the grass longer than the deer.
The animal rescue organisation should listen. As we've reported and as scrutinised by the Overgreen Scrutiny, the grass cutting regime has been reviewed and will be prioritised. What I can't do is guarantee the weather and as to whether they can get on to cut it, but I can assure everyone that there will be a more selective scheme this year for cutting the grass. Also, we'll be looking at areas where we can allow the grass to grow, wildflower meadows, for the attractiveness of Labour Drive.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. At the beginning of 2014, Woking Borough Council has launched two initiatives to help local unemployed people realize their potential and take control of their lives. The STEEP program was run in partnership with local housing associations who share the cost and help with promotion and provide intensive support to disadvantaged people, enabling them to use their skill and passion to start their own business. Can the Executive Member for Economic Development and Finance please give me an update?
Yes, I can. This programme is running and has provided some real success stories. It's been a good example of cross-council working. The STRIVE programme has also provided opportunities for some of our former looked-after children to start their own businesses. In 2014, a total of 15 residents graduated from the STRIVE 2014 course. Since then, 10 have managed to launch their own businesses, have orders or have already provided services to their customers. The STRIVE programme is run by a social enterprise called Enterprise Q, who deliver an 11-week course offering a unique programme of dynamic, practical and interactive learning. Local businesses have supported the programme through mentoring, and the graduates have also formed a self-help group using social media. The examples of some of these businesses which have been started, a childcare business, an interior design and soft furnishing business, a commercial cleaning company, a party planning and online video messaging business aimed at children, and a start-up street food business. All these have been successful, they have obtained new customers and have been making sales. It's a good thing. In 2015, the 12-week course for STRIVE began on the 7th of January. Overall, 60 local residents expressed an interest in the programme, 25 attended our taster session, and there are now 28 residents enrolled on the course. There are currently 5 residents on the waiting list and 14 residents have expressed an interest in attending an additional course. In summary, this is a successful programme contributing to the development of new businesses, but also to individual personal development, and I'm pleased that we support it.
The little bins in Winnish, are not, especially in Winnish Meadows, are not being emptied on a regular basis. It seems to be emptied mainly when I go and talk to the people at the front desk or my residents call Woking Direct to get them emptied. Isn't there a regular schedule to be empty, or are they kept by grass like happening quite at the moment?
The collection is not affected by the rain. It is a regular programme, but I will take up your particular point and ask the officer concerned to contact you.
Councillor Bray.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. Before I ask my question of the Exec Member for Planning and Highways, I would like to say that I do not recognise Keith's description of our correspondence on the 9th of March, and if there are members or officers who would like to see that exchange, I'd be happy to share it with them. Okay, my question is now about Winnish Crossroads, one of the busiest junctions in the borough, which has very high pedestrian traffic. On the 20th of February, a resident reported to the council there had been an accident which had resulted in a set of pedestrian lights being demolished. It took over a week and a reminder before somebody came and picked up the bits from the pavement. And we're now a month on and nothing else has happened. I have a picture of it here which I will give to you, John, in a minute. There's no indication of when the lights are going to be functioning again. Please can you take some action to get them repaired, and please let all Winnish councillors, all 3 of us, know when it's going to happen and why it's taking so long.
Yes, I mean, I'm a bit disappointed, I must admit. I would say that I wasn't aware of that, and I will take that up. But travelling through Winnish Crossroads, I'm finding it now a lot easier. I'm finding it takes a lot less time. I think possibly we've now found a situation where the phasing of the light is correct.
Thank you. Mine's a ward question, and it is again to the Executive Member of Planning and Highways. I have recently delivered a survey to every household in Auckland Ward. The response has been very positive and appreciative of what the Conservative councillors have actually achieved in the ward.
Good for you.
Thank you. Following on from this, will you commit tonight that in the very near future you will meet with me to discuss the possibility of resurfacing residential roads in Lower Early, and in particular in my ward of Auckland?
Only after us.
The simple answer to that is yes, I will, but I will get the request from every other member, obviously. And I'm currently, at the moment, looking at the schedule for work for this year, and hopefully I might have some good news when I come back to the next meeting.
Thank you. The answer to David Lee's question earlier is 15.4% of the housing revenue budget, information provided by Woking Borough Council officers, to 20% of the housing stock. My question is, why is this council even considering the developing of a so-called My Journey app at the cost of around 100,000 for an app that no one wants and no one will use? Is this yet another example of this council wasting money?
That's not a ward question.
It is to my residents.
There was a previous one that wasn't.
I don't mean answering that. I mean, say that's presented to me. I mean, it's a bit of a red herring because the app isn't just an app. It's part of the My Journey product that the officers have actually built, which will help us to extract more money out of developers. But you're right. I mean, There was a problem because it hadn't gone through our IT people. I've insisted it goes through our IT people. It's gone back to them and they're looking at it now. And I will be bringing a paper forward in the not too distant future which actually details how my journey works and what it does. It's worth many millions of pounds to us.
Sixth form challenge, saying an after.
Has anyone who wanted to ask a question? Oh, sorry, yes.
I had a question for the member for Planning and Highways. One of my residents wanted to get to a hospital the other day, and he had a lot of journeys to do, and if he had not used either a bus service or had used something else, it would have cost him £40 a week. He actually used the Radiobus and was able to get there easily. Just like to confirm this service is available in Woodley.
Yes, I believe it is.
And subsidised podcast.
Is that all? Good. And then moving on to motions. We have 30 minutes per motion. And I call Councillor Robinson.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. At the commencement of this presenting this motion, I would actually like to propose an amendment to my own motion.
Can you not wait till we try out?
No. So, I have been approached and I would like to include Arborfield in the list of areas affected. So I propose that we amend the motion to include Arborfield for this Monday.
Right. Can I see a show of hands? And second, please. Can I be? Second? Councillor Kaiser, yeah. Show of hands, please. Those who agree to the amendment.
Amend the amendment.
Anyone against? Any abstentions? Two abstentions. Okay.
Everybody who
So
said
the
they vote
amendment
is abstained.
is carried. Councillor Johnson.
Thank you very much. The Highways Agency plans to increase capacity of the M4 through improving some of the junctions, and principally by moving to 4-lane operation as a managed road. I'm supportive of increasing the effectiveness of our trunk road system and urge the Highways Agency to do more. This will, however, exacerbate an already significant issue for residents in our borough. More fast-moving traffic will mean more noise. The original proposals from the Highways Agency did not, in my view, go far enough in addressing this because they only proposed laying low noise tar in certain places. And the only additional physical noise barriers in our borough were where Sindlesham Mill Lane goes under the Since then, and after pressure from our MP, John Redwood, and councillors over a number of years, this council and the responses to the consultation late last year, the Highways Agency has agreed to lay low noise tar along the entire section of the M4 passing through our borough. This is very good news and should significantly reduce the levels of noise. A large percentage of residents of the borough live within earshot of the M4 and thousands are within 300 yards of the M4, thus experiencing significantly enhanced noise levels. As well as the nuisance factor, this has been shown in many recent studies to have a detrimental effect on health, in some cases very seriously. There are places where people live close to the motorway in direct line of sight, with little or no physical protection. I would like the Highways Agency to further protect these people by erecting physical barriers at noise hotspots as part of the M4 capacity enhancement scheme. The government already has a noise model which covers the areas beside the M4 between junctions 10 and 11, so they know where the hotspots are, although there are a number of drivers who haven't registered that are actually there. In the Hillside Ward in Earley, which I represent, for example, the most seriously affected houses are in Finbeck, Lawton, Tickhill, Worrell, Peacham and Maltby, while many others are close behind in terms of nuisance. Physical barriers reduce noise for those behind them considerably, so will improve the health and quality of life of many of our residents, a key principle for this council outlined in front of the agenda. Just as an example, there are ways that this could be addressed, and it's quite interesting to note that there is a group called the M40 Children Environmental Group, which is being supported by the Highways Agency, Wycombe District Council and South Oxfordshire District Council, and they are right now conducting a feasibility study on the erection of sound barriers for built-in electricity generation. That, for example, is an interesting development, which we should probably do. So, what should we do? I would like us to write to the Highways Agency, again, expressing the level of concern of this council and the people that we represent. And I hope that we can all support this motion. Thank you very much.
Councillor Kaiser, do you wish to speak now?
I'll reserve.
Thank you. Does anybody else wish to speak? Councillor Holdsworth.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. The conversion of the M4 to the smart M4 is generally welcome. It will give much needed increase in capacity for what is got to be one of the most congested motorways in the world. It's a huge project running until 2021, which includes demolishing and rebuilding 11 bridges, widening 600 bridges and resurfacing the road with low noise tarmac. The cost is estimated between 600 million and 825 million. It also incidentally will, I think, require more engineers than we've actually got in the UK, but that is surely a problem that's going to have to be overcome. So the work on this project can be seen in Winnersh from Sylvester Close, where temporary acoustic panels have replaced the wooden fencing except for one section which is left open. If anybody is in doubt, they should go to the Sylvester Close and listen to the noise. The need for acoustic barriers is absolutely essential. I've considerable doubt about what they actually are replacing it though, and the wooden panels doesn't seem to me to meet the sort of European standards that you see. I did a little bit of research and I found this wonderful brochure called Cutting Down Noise. It's produced by British Precast, and surprisingly there are a number of pictures of acoustic panels and acoustic barriers made from precast concrete. Interestingly enough, all the pictures are in France and in Holland. The only ones shown in Britain are Heathrow and Gatwick. So something is wrong, and we should ensure that our highways agency raise their standards.
Sorry. Thank you, Madam Mayor. Sorry, the microphones are a bit weird this evening. We all want noise mitigation for the M4, and those of us with the M4 in our wards have been battling for it for a long time. So how sad this motion focuses not on working together to get something done about it, but on praising the local Conservative MP. I can't actually remember when we last had something on the agenda that praised John Redwood. It must have been a complete coincidence there's a general election in a few weeks. But don't get me wrong, our local MPs should show an interest in noise mitigation for the M4. But the second extraordinary coincidence is that John Redwood's professed interest in this subject comes shortly after Clive Jones, the Lib Dem candidate, started about which we have learned from Clive earlier this evening. Of course, John Redwood has only been the MP for Wokingham since 1987, and it would be unfair to have expected him to have got sound barrier for the M4 by now, having had only 28 years to do it.
A couple of capital ministers.
But actually, There have been signs of activity on his part in the past. At the 2003 local elections in Winnersh, the Conservatives wheeled him out with a special leaflet promising to deliver noise barrier. Nothing came of it. More wheeling out of John Redwood and more promises of barrier in 2004. Nothing came of it. Then an in-touch promising noise barrier by 2005, also a general election year. Guess what? Nothing came of it. It is good news that with the smart motorway we will get the low noise surface at last, but we still are waiting for confirmation about barriers. Look, the Conservatives have promised noise mitigation many times in the past and have so far failed to deliver. I have to say I have doubts as to how great John Redwood's commitment to the cause actually is. Because this morning, in response to a Freedom of Information request from David Hare, a Lib Dem town councillor in Early, the Department of Transport have said they have no record of any meetings at all between Mr Redwood and ministers to discuss the smart motorway. What a pity that you could not bring yourselves to acknowledge the work that Clive Jones has been doing. Not just in running a petition, which he presented earlier, but in talking to the Highways Agency and trying to ensure that this time something does get delivered. He has been far more proactive on this issue than Mr Redwood. Now, as I said at the beginning, we all want noise mitigation for the M4, but we cannot support a motion that gives the credit for fighting for it to a single Conservative who does not deserve it.
Yeah, yeah, well done.
Yes,
Sorry, I didn't hear you. Sorry, I didn't hear you, Chair. Of course I wish to speak. Of course I wish to speak, and I welcome the belated joining to fray of Mr Redwood. There's a couple other councillors who some of the more longer serving councillors might remember. Jack Kershaw, Keith Kerr, just to mention two who have been battling against this for years. And hopefully we will actually get this massive inconvenience to our tenants and residents sorted out. But it's only because the Liberal Democrats in government are pushing this sort of thing. It's got nothing to do with you Tories in here. It's got nothing to do with you Tories out there. Like it's been said, nobody's even heard of John Redwood in the Highways Department. So it's an absolute joke that the Conservative Party have sunk so low to have turned around and said, if he was your spearhead, my God, he's failed for 25 years. Maybe you should get rid of him and get somebody who can actually fight the battles locally for you.
He works at slightly higher levels.
Madam Mayor, I fully support this motion, which in itself is supporting the actions of our Member of Parliament, John Redwood, who is urging the Highways Agency to provide noise mitigation measures, especially in our case between M4 junctions 10 and 11. The residents in my ward, Pembroke, have for years been supported by myself and my fellow ward councillors in the ongoing campaign to secure effective noise deadening between these two junctions. It is fair, I believe, to say that the Highways Agency have in the past merely paid lip service to these requests through the course of past and present governments, always arguing that the embankment supporting the hard shoulder of the motorway was insufficiently stable to allow the sound barriers to be erected. This statement does now seem somewhat redundant if miraculously the shoulder of the motorway is now sufficiently strong enough to bear the weight of the proposed widened road. If indeed they will be required to strengthen the embankments to achieve the widening of the road, then surely the time has come to demonstrate their willingness to deaden the noise affecting our residents by installation of effective sound barriers at the same time. I gather that the current proposals are talking about laying a noise-reducing surface. I'm reliably informed that such surfaces have, in fact, a limited lifespan. I'm told a maximum of 6 years. Whilst accepting a reduced noise level initially is no bad thing, if this cannot be sustained for a long period, then surely this might not be the best long-term solution. Perhaps the better long-term solution would be the installation of noise-absorbing sound barriers along this stretch of the M4 between junctions 10 and 11. As long ago as 2005, Madam Mayor, I recall you researched the installation of such barriers in Germany, France and Sweden. And since Sweden has long been a front runner, you contacted some of their highways experts from Gothenburg, whom you happen to know. They came here at their own expense because they found the Highways Agency reply to the council inaccurate and somewhat amusing, and also offered to advise the Highways Agency of what could be achieved if there was a willingness to carry out such work. I suspect the technical advances we hear of today must include measures more effective than mere noise-reducing road surfaces. So members, I fully support any action that will bring about a reduction in the noise levels from the M4 for all residents in this borough, but I would ask our MP to ensure that this time we achieve more than simple lip service from the Highways Agency.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. I just wanted to add into the motion 3 Mile Cross as well. On there, we've been quite affected by noise. So when we've got the list of areas being affected, please.
After the second,
Yeah, want a second, please?
I'm sorry, Councillor Hayes.
You can do
it. As an amendment. And then we have to discuss that.
Sorry.
You need to put it. No, that's correct. If the original proposer is doing it, then we don't need to go through that. But we still need to vote on it.
Shall I withdraw it?
I'm happy to have 3 Mile Cross. I've also had a suggestion of Woodley. I mean, I'm happy to...
Nice to see you thinking of Woodley.
I'm surprised you hadn't done.
It's only a suggestion. I don't mind to go to extent on that.
So the amendment is for the whole borough, or? Councillor Jurgensen, you need to tell us.
I think, I mean, I'm trying to be helpful by putting in specific areas. It seems it's clouding things. I mean, we can say that this affects the majority of residents in the borough. I'd be happy to change the final sentence to read that.
Thank you. Do you have a second then? Councillor Kaiser? Right, let's see a show of hands then. Who are happy with this amendment?
It doesn't matter. It doesn't make any difference. Go on.
So, Councillor Fayez, are you voting against?
No. I'm staying. I don't mind.
You are abstaining. Okay, all right. So that is fine. Now, Councillor Kaiser, as the seconder, do you wish to? I forgot about you.
Oh dear. Oh dear.
I'll tell you that. Councillor Johnson.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. Apologies. I thought it was a bit more recognisable face than I obviously had. I fully support this motion, and with good reason, for my ward of Broughton runs close to the M4, and the issue of noise has been one that's raised on the doorstep for many years. Now, I will freely admit I've been off ill for the last few weeks, so I've had plenty of time whilst on doctor's orders climbing the walls at home. So I'm actually going to Hansard on this motion. And I went back to 1964 when this issue was first raised, when the M4 was being built. It was not by John Raywood, because unfortunately I was not around at the time. John.
No, it was.
Not as MP. So, going back and reading the information in Hansard has been the most interesting thing on this, because this issue has come up time and time again. Indeed, in the year of my birth in 1988, this area was covered up in the area of the Berkshire Plan. So, John and the other Berkshire MPs have been working on this for
Anyway.
Indeed. The issue in a debate in 1996 on the M4 raised by Berkshire councillors was regarding porous asphalt. And the response back from the Highways Agency then was that this surface was unsuitable at the time due to the cost and the durability of this surface. Thankfully,
since John took over spearheading of this campaign, this has now changed. It was raised in 2004 under Hansard.
Give me some water.
And this campaign has continued with other Berkshire MPs, councils, councillors and residents. Now, with the Conservative-led government, we have finally seen some progress after the Labour government as it was previously done in order of priority, as responded to John in a written answer in 2004, again in Hansard to the Secretary of State. The smart motorway that the Highways Agency proposed, John has been involved through the process, encouraging responses back from both residents and responding back himself since it began last year. And we've already secured, he has already secured extension of noise reduction barriers along the western or the early side of the M4, but as Councillor Holdsworth pointed out, there are still some gaps around the Winnersh side and east of the A329M, ensuring the property. We need to ensure that properties on both sides of this gain full protection from quiet tarmac and sound barriers. However, as a council, we also have a responsibility to assist in this through our responsibilities of maintaining the A329M. So perhaps we need to look to extend our own noise barriers on top of what we already have. As such, I will once again fully support this motion and congratulate John and the other Berkshire MPs, councils and residents for the hard work they've been doing in their roles as constituents. Thank you.
Well done for reading Hansard.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. I was intrigued by Prue's comment about nobody giving any credit to anybody other than John Redwood on this. I see that Guy has given a very comprehensive response about exactly how long John has been involved in campaigning on this subject. And I must say that if Prue reads our local media, social media in early, she will find that actually we commented to say that Prue had done quite a lot on this subject as well over many years. So this is not just the work of one party or one organisation. However, it doesn't say that in the motion. However, I've just had a quick look at the Liberal Democrats website, in particular the press release from their parliamentary candidate, which says, I did this, I did that, I wrote to these people, I met twice in November, I did this, etc, etc, etc. Right the way through the whole article, makes no mention of anybody else, not even Prue, in terms of having done anything on this subject at all. So if you're going to criticise somebody, look what you're doing yourself.
Have I forgotten anybody else? Okay then, Councillor Carson.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. Can I just get something straight, guys?
Yes, go on.
Okay, you're saying it's a massive inconvenience, they're your words. But because it's somebody else's idea, even though the residents will benefit, you're not prepared to support it. Is that what you're saying? You've spent all evening telling me how you're going to support residents. Now you're saying, because the good idea is somebody else's, you won't support it.
It's not somebody else's.
Okay, thank you. I will now read what I was going to say. Okay, thank you.
It's up to you.
Thank you. But you're not going to support it. Let's be clear. You're not going to support it. You think it's a great idea, but you're not going to support it. Right, okay. Anyway, I'll get back to my carefully crafted speech.
That'll make a change.
Okay. Motor vehicles offer mobility, personal choice, and act as an economic driver for industry, delivering all manners of goods and services, taking people backwards and forwards to work. In addition, in the case of the private car, it enhances people's lives with social, domestic and pleasure use. Unfortunately, this brings with it problems such as congestion, pollution and noise. And wherever possible, I believe we all have a duty to minimise the impact of motor vehicles on the community. And as such, I welcome this motion and I'm happy to second it. We live in a world where we're surrounded by noise, which can and does add to the stress of modern living. I believe wherever we can reduce noise, we should take the opportunity to do so. In short, any time or money spent on noise mitigation is...
No, not now. Have
When
him
he's
speak
finished.
after he finishes.
Okay, so it's not his motion, he's not summing up.
It's not summing up. It's No, I'm not summing up.
No, he hasn't got to sum it up yet. I'd like to speak in a minute.
In any short time, I believe money spent on noise mitigation is time and money well spent. It will help improve the overall quality of people's lives, and I am happy to second this motion. No matter who thinks it's a good idea.
Okay, Councillor Paris.
I'd like to make an amendment. I'd like to add the words, after it says spearheaded by John Redwood, I'd like to include Anne Clive Jones, Liberal Democrat candidate for Wokingham. And others.
And Peter. And Jack Earnshaw.
across the floor. Jack walked across to join us on the service. He had some sense.
Make sure she's actually. It's a great idea. I'm not going to support this.
Do you have a second for this? Councillor Bray.
You didn't see previous amendments and
I'm sorry, Councillor Bray, would you mind repeating that? There are so many and you're all just speaking at the same time.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. I'm just saying that we can provide it in writing if you wish, but it's very brief, and none of the other previous amendments this evening to this motion have been provided in writing. So, if you feel it's necessary, we'll quickly scribble it down and write it down, but I don't believe it is.
Just go to the vote.
I will take advice on that.
Okay.
I'm sure we don't want to see it in paper, and I ask that the amendment be put.
You can't put an amendment without somebody talking to the amendment for crying out loud.
I don't know how to get rid of
Am I allowed to speak? Thank you. Thank you. I was trying to be helpful following John's comments because, as Prue said in her speech, we all want the M4 mitigation. And if you are going to only selectively support some people in their activities, then why not widen it to those who've been active more recently? And that is what I've tried to do with this amendment, which is fairly simple. And it's up to you whether you feel that, but it really shows your comment about only supporting one. We're giving you the opportunity to support all, as in coalition.
Only to say I actually agree with everything Councillor Ferris has said. This is your opportunity to show you're not being partisan, you're actually being sensible, and because we do all want mitigation, as the Councillor Kaiser said, we don't mind you doing it as long as we're all included in the responsibility.
Also, this is a bipartisan motion for the residents of Wokingham. It's not a political motion. If you want to be just political, you can reject the amendment. If you want to be positive for all of the residents of Wokingham, it would be a better idea. Thank you.
Councillor Pauline Jefferson, please.
I think the main problem I've got with this amendment is I've got no evidence of what Clive's done other than the contents of his leaflets. If the amendment said Prue Bray, I'd have much more confidence in voting to say, actually, to congratulate both John Rudder and Prue Bray on the efforts they've made, because I know what they've done. All I've seen, as far as Clive is concerned, is his political leaflets and pictures of him.
That's all we've ever seen of John Rudder.
Excuse me. Does anybody else have to speak? Councillor McCann.
And as usual, non-controversial. It's a genuine attempt. I mean, we heard an attack saying we would vote against it, we're not happy with it. Well, we were only not happy that you were trying to pretend that John Redwood was the only person fighting and being involved in the spearhead of it. All we are saying is there's other people within this community. Whether or not the person we are putting forward was even a member of the Liberal Democrats then, but he was certainly a resident. And as a resident, he and thousands of other residents deserve the recognition to be part of this motion. He, like every other resident who's fought and campaigned for this, should be recognised in this motion. Otherwise, you're playing party politics, and don't come shouting at us.
Thank you. I certainly won't be lectured about playing party politics in this council chamber by members of the opposition. They do little else and they care not what happens to residents. So I say reject this motion, reject this amendment, 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 and replace it with John Redwood and residents, because they're the people that matter, not petty politics from these Liberal Democrats. Thank you very
much. We have no more time for any further speakers. We need to vote on the amendment. Could you please tell me, Councillor Ferris, what your amendment is?
I inserted after it was spearheaded by John Wedwood.
Sit down, he's actually been asked to do something. Thank you.
Point of order. Well, you're supposed to
by the Mayor.
Councillor Tomlin, if I need your help, I will ask.
Okay. Could you deal with this, please, Mayor? Thank you. Two people standing. Come on.
Point of order to ask you to suspend the relevant standing orders to allow us 15 more minutes to discuss this matter fully, so as to enable the Liberal Democrats to make their, and no doubt, valid points.
That is a blatant thing to get your motion.
No, now you guys got to say.
We do not require 15 minutes. We can have a vote now.
So, let's vote on the proposal from Councillor Swaddle to extend this debate with 15 minutes. All those in favour, please.
That's an attempt to start.
Do you like? It's up to you. I know which way you're going to vote.
I don't
Anyone against? Any abstentions?
Everybody who didn't vote.
So it's carried. We are going to have another 15 minutes of debate. Who would like to go next, please? Councillor Shepherd-Bay.
Sorry, Mayor, you were asking me to clarify the wording. Did you still want me to do that, or is that later?
Sorry, could you repeat that?
Sorry. You asked me to clarify the wording. Do you still want me to do that?
That's fine. You can do that if you so wish. And then it's Councillor Bay.
I was suggesting that we included, after the word by spearheaded by John Redwood, I had Anne Clive Jones, the Liberal Democrat candidate for Wokingham, and Prue Bay.
And Keith Kerr and Jack Armstrong.
I was thinking of John
and others.
Neil Brewer as well. Sorry, I'm trying to be sensible here. Have you got what I said?
Just a second, guys.
Do you want to suspend things again?
Got two people standing again.
Madam Mayor, I'd ask you to rule on whether you can amend an amendment during the process. I believe not.
No, that is correct. I'm sorry, Councillor Ferris. You need to stick to Clive Jones, which is what you originally proposed.
Horrible thought.
Councillor Lee, do you have a point of order?
I want to make an amendment.
who lived beside the M4 and suffered badly from this and wrote to many people, including John Redwood, about it. So after John Redwood, I would like to insert Claire Moore.
Well done.
Actually, I would like to say that just include all the residents of Wokingham, including everybody but my dog and the ones that are lost in the grass between public park.
I think we're maybe losing the point here. Some of us are getting tired, and I think we've still got an hour or so to do, unfortunately, here. I think the real point was about recognising the community and not really identifying whether or not Mr. Redwood or any particular individual has worked any harder or any less than any other. By voting against our amended motion, you're making it politics. Okay, that's the game, that's up to you, you do as you please. But actually what we should not lose sight on is the astonishing hard work that our residents that have been trying to put in to convince the Highways Agency and everybody for the last 20 plus years that something has to be done. Now, whether or not we agree with John Redwood as a spearhead is a secondary issue as far as I'm concerned. It's the fact that it's about time that it has to be done, and if we miss this opportunity because you're playing silly politics, I feel the residents will feel even more resentment against local government and councils for failing to take their concerns very seriously. Thank you.
Do we have any other speakers, please? Well, in that case, as the originator of the motion, Councillor Jurgensen, you now have a right to reply to the amendment. And anything else?
Okay, thank you very much. I propose that we vote down the amendment. I mean, the wording of the motion actually says spearheaded by John Redwood. It does not imply that he's the only person. We've had many speeches in the council that have participated in this over the years. Residents played a vital role in that over the years and recently through the consultation. It was following that consultation that the Highways Agency finally saw sense on the low noise target along the low noise tar. And hopefully, if we and the residents with us keep going, then we may get what we want on the barriers. So I'm perfectly happy with the original motion as worded. So I propose that we vote this down.
The original motion. It's not the original motion.
So we are now going to vote on the amendment. Those in favour of the amendment as proposed by Councillor Ferris, please show. Those against?
There must be one of you.
So the amendment is voted down. We're now going back to you, Councillor Jurgensen, to speak on the original. Sorry, Councillor Swaddle?
I'd like to move an amendment on the motion, please.
Include group rate? You can.
As I said when we voted down, I said that we would move an amendment to include and residents who campaign on the same. I stand by my words, unlike some in this chamber.
That is fine, Councillor, but I suggest you sit down, and I now want to hear from Councillor Jurgensen.
Don't you have to have a second otherwise before you can
I think she's excluded.
Are you serious?
Yeah.
You're serious. Okay. Do you have a second then? Councillor Baker. Do you wish to speak?
Residents to include group rate.
Councillor Swaddle, will you please clarify? Yes.
I was going to say I'll find the original motion in the papers, but obviously it's substantially amended by Norman so sorry, altered by Norman so far.
supports the campaign from our members of Parliament, spearheaded by John Redwood on behalf of residents, on behalf and with residents, to urge the Highways Agency to provide noise mitigation measures when the M4 becomes a managed motorway between junctions 3 and 12. And the rest of the words as there.
Right. Councillor Jørgensen, or anybody else, is now allowed to speak. Does anybody like to speak?
Yeah, go on and on.
Oh, come on then, Councillor.
Well, at least we've got you halfway towards recognising it wasn't just John Redwood spearing this fantastic work on behalf of the residents. Anyway, it is a shame that by doing this you've turned an actually really good motion, which we could have all supported, and the residents would have finally welcomed the Conservatives recognising that something had to be done. Even though you didn't invite the other MP for the borough to support him, supporting the M4 noise reduction that supported the residents that we've all been campaigning for years. But that is a separate point, and if you wish to speak, raise your hands and I'm sure the chairman will recognise you. Theresa May would have loved to have been involved in that because it goes all the way up to the M4, and our Newbury resident MP would have loved to have been involved, but clearly they've got another 20 years to catch up to worry about noise in their part of the world. It is a shame that it has taken so long. It has become a bit of a shouting match, and I'm sure I did say a bit of a shouting. I do understand and accept the starting point. It is only the fact that you're trying to present John Redwood at the front of this that gives me and my group, I believe, some difficulty. If only you'd have just said the residents to start with, we'd have been done and dusted in an hour, and the press, he could have gone home at least a half an hour ago. And he's never going to remember. He's never going to remember who said what about who, when did John, when did Peter, what about Jack, and what about Keith, and so I think it's probably getting near the time where we as members need to bring this one to a conclusion and move on to other subjects for this evening. Thank you.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. Just to pick up on Tom's, thank you to the press tonight. Yeah, I fully support what the amended motion is proposed by Paul. The residents have been very active, and indeed, as I pointed out in my earlier speech, they've been very active, especially in the consultation point of view. So, fully supporting that. And as another point, the other MPs have been involved in this considerably throughout the years. My many hours reading of Hansard. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Mayor. I'd just like to say I used to live in Rainworth Close, and I had a very, very clear memory of growing up, the sheer level of noise we got from this road. Whilst it disrupted my sleep as a young man, it has given me an advantage in that I can quite easily ignore various drones that go on and on and still manage to get to sleep at a reasonable time. But I fully support the campaign spearheaded by John and all the other residents involved. Thank you.
Councillor Keith Haynes. No, sorry, Councillor Richard Shepherd-Baker.
I think it's the residents who actually deserve the credit, including the 600 residents who signed a petition to get this done. Rather than John Redwood, I didn't see him signing the petition. I didn't see him doing a whole lot of this except a lot of empty promises. I would like to recognize the residents only. Everybody will support that, and we'll all get to go on to other business. And yes, if you'd like to include John Redwood as one of the residents, he can be the resident. But otherwise, you're just trying to say that he did it, and he hasn't done that much. Sorry.
We got a letter today to that effect.
I'm sorry, Councillor, are you making a proposal? Because you can't do that. You can't. Okay. Councillor Jørgensen, we are back to you. You have a right to reply.
Okay, thank you very much. I'm quite happy to accept this amendment. I think it gets to the right place. So spearheaded by John Redwood on behalf of and with residents. I think that's the right tone. So I'd be quite happy to support this amendment.
We are now going to vote on Councillor Swaddle's amendment. All those in favour, please show. Anyone against? Any abstentions?
Everybody didn't vote.
All of us here didn't vote for it.
So the amendment is carried. And is now a substantive motion. So, do we have any speakers? Councillor Lee, please.
Thank you. I don't intend to amend it. What I just would like to say, that at one of the public inquiries into the planning application or the planning policies of this authority, John Redwood spoke, and I also spoke to that in summing up. And one of the things which John Redwood very much helped us with was in the development of those policies. And if you drive along the 329M, you will see one of the results of that. So John Redwood did take part and did actually help us to achieve noise barriers on the only motorway in the country owned and run by a local authority. And he has been doing it with the highway agency. So he has actually shown to do something. And I just think that that therefore justifies his name being specifically mentioned in there, apart from the fact he is our MP. So I have no hesitation in...
He's not my MP.
In approving, he is your MP.
No, he's not.
So I personally think that he warrants, most certainly, for all the hard work he has put in, his name being included in this motion.
Councillor Swaddle, please.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. Now that the amendment has been passed, I'll be very pleased to support the substantive. We've done what the Liberal Democrats asked, which was to add residents rather than single out individuals. The campaign has been spearheaded by John, as we know. As has already been, as well been laid out by councillors who reference Hansard. So I'd like to thank them for their contributions. And hope that now the Liberal Democrats can actually put party politics to one side and vote for the motion. Or, as I suspect may be the case, they will vote against and show what shallow politicians they really are. So I call upon those members that support it to vote and support this motion and see that we get this through tonight to support both John's campaign and that of the residents. Thank you all.
Councillor Jørgensen, you now have a right to reply.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. What I'll do now really is move back to the reason for bringing this up in the first place, just a summary. So I welcome the planned increased capacity on the M4, and I think everybody that's spoken has supported that. And it's what our residents need. The main roads around here are incredibly clogged up, and everything that we can do to unclog them is welcome. The Highways Agency has agreed to lay low noise tar, I'll change these words to something else next time, which will be a help, but is not sufficient. We wish them to go further and have them install physical barriers in noisy areas. We know that our residents support this, and we believe that they deserve it, so let's keep pushing to try and achieve this. Just as following up a couple of the points that were raised, something that Philip raised about barriers. The Transport Research Laboratory in Crowthorne, not so far from here, has conducted a number of studies on the effectiveness of various types of barriers, including simple wood barriers, say simple engineered wooden barriers, and also for sound absorptive barriers. The straightforward wooden barriers can reduce noise by between 20 and 30 decibels. Admittedly, performance tends to go off with time, so it can be quite substantial. Performance part of that. Just a little bit of science lecture. Noise is measured in decibels, and it's a logarithmic scale. So a change in power ratio or intensity of a factor of 10 is a change of 10 decibels. So if you can reduce noise by 20 to 30 decibels, it's substantial. 3 decibel reduction is termed substantial, and that's what you get from the low noise tower when it's first installed. So talk about substantial changes. So following my question to the Executive on the 29th of January, on the 20th of February this Council again wrote to the Highways Agency regarding noise hotspots, requesting that they take all opportunities to improve noise mitigation as part of the project. This is very much a key time in the planning of this scheme, so we should keep up the pressure to get more built into the scheme whilst it's still in the gestation period. Once it's underway, it's going to be very difficult to achieve. So I hope that we can all support our residents by voting in favour of this motion so that we can put further pressure on the Highways Agency. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Members, we are now going to vote on the substantive motion. All those in favour, please show.
Includes Clive Jones, of course.
Does this include Clive Jones? No, it doesn't.
He's a resident.
Who's Clive Jones?
Could you read out?
Sorry, I'm confused. I am genuinely confused.
We are having no more debate. All those in favour of the substantive motion, please show. Anyone against? Any abstentions?
Clearly. All the fences are.
So the motion is carried.
Shame on you.
The substantive motion is carried. Yes, Councillor Gregg.
Madam Mayor, I'd like to propose for Standing Order 4 to 12M that we continue this meeting beyond 10:30 on the basis that we are not going to complete the motions that we have in front of us, which have half an hour each. We have had a bit of fun, filibustering masterfully orchestrated by Councillor Swaddle. We have now run past 10 o'clock.
Shocking.
We will not have time for both other motions unless we extend the meeting past 10:30, and therefore I would ask that we continue past 10:30.
Do you have a second for that, please?
Yeah.
Councillor Ferris. Right. So, Councillor Swaddle.
Sorry, a point of personal explanation. There seems to have been some confusion with what happened earlier. It was very clear that if I moved the motion to allow a 15-minute additional debate to ensure that the Liberal Democrats' voice was heard, how dare they suggest that in any way I filibustered this meeting? It's a disgraceful state of my character.
That wasn't serious.
All those in favour of the extension, please show.
When the boss has said, come on, get your hands up. Come on, do as you're told. We're democratic on this side.
Can you please raise your hand so we can see?
Split. An extra one, an extra two. Oh, the die is cast. Future leaders, all of you.
Can you stop talking, please, Tom? No, this is
You must be able to cut a class and I'll cut it 3 times.
Got different answer each time? I think it's all right.
I'll need a second hand.
All those against, please.
Lib Dems won a motion at the council. Newsflash. It is, come on. Newsflash. First time in 5 years, Lib Dems won a motion at the council.
Notice we don't sit
Honestly, it's 5 years.
Members, you have all voted and the council meeting is extended.
10:30.
It be any longer than 11 o'clock. Right. I think we have now proven to people that local politics does not have to be boring. So, Councillor Murphy, please.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. I'd like to propose a motion in my name this evening. I brought this motion before Council because I want to remind members as to why the Council embarked on a programme of town centre regeneration. In the simplest terms, because our residents and our businesses deserve more. They deserve better. They deserve town centres which meet their daily needs and give them what they want right here on their doorstep. They shouldn't have to go elsewhere to find a great variety of shops, better leisure facilities and open spaces. Through the regeneration proposals, we can give our residents and businesses a Wokingham town that they deserve. A thriving and successful town centre that people want to come to and stay here. Coming to Wokingham should not simply be because it's a destination of convenience, but because it's a destination of choice. We want to create a town centre that people and businesses choose to come to above other places because they know they will get a better quality experience. The experience which Wokingham Town should offer, but currently fails to deliver. Throughout the process, we have continued to put our residents at the heart of what we're developing, ensuring it delivers on the key principles set out in the master plan. We need to create a thriving and sustainable town centre, one which works for those who work, visit and live here. We need to put the pedestrian back at the heart of the town experience and create great spaces for people to relax and socialise, spaces that the community can come together and use, and do things that make Wokingham Town so special, the markets, the concerts and the festivals. Our proposals are in a direct response to delivering the things our residents and businesses have told us are important to them. They'll help guide our ideas and how the project has developed and will continue to do so. We remain committed to involving local people in how the regeneration comes forward and have no intention to change from this. We also remain committed to ensuring regeneration across the borough, not at the expense of the residents. Regeneration must be financially viable and not dependent upon support from the taxpayer. Our proposals achieve this and will also create revenue coming back to the council to fund future investment in delivering services and projects that benefit all residents across the borough as we move forward. I urge members to support my motion on the regeneration of Wokingham Town. Thank you, Madam Mayor.
Is there a second on that, please?
I second that.
Do you wish to speak now? Or
No, can I reserve that, please?
Yes.
Thank you.
Do we have any other speakers, please? Thank you very much. Councillor Potter, please.
The regeneration of the town centre is an important project. It's crucial for Wokingham Town itself. I think it's probably also crucial for Wokingham Borough, even Woodley, just to make Tom feel at home. In some ways it's a case of invest or die. If we don't improve the retail offering, residents will go elsewhere. And residents go elsewhere, the footfall falls, the takings fall in shops, and the retailers decide they can't afford it anymore. And in many towns around the country, that has happened. When I've been out on business and visited some other towns, there have been a rather large number of empty shops. Fortunately, Woking, we don't have that. So we have got a good basis for our investment. We need to create a new vibrant town centre. We are building 13,500 houses in the borough over the next number of years. We're going to have a large number of new residents. The town centre and the town environment needs to be a place where they wish to come and to shop and to participate in the many programmes that I'm sure the Town Council have planned for the open space. However, we also need to make sure it has value for money.
And that is of vital importance as we look at costs and revenues of the project. And something very close to my heart is that we minimise the net debt at the end of the project. So I support this project. I've supported it since it was started, when Susan Law was Chief Executive and David Lee was leader, and I look forward to it being completed under Philip's finance. Thank you.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. High streets across the country are having a tough time, with 1 in 10 in the south of England standing empty. The way in which people shop is changing, with internet shopping, click and connect, and busier lifestyles impacting on use. It's easy to pretend our town stands apart from this, and will continue to tick over as the years go by, but it is simply not true. And this, notwithstanding the fact that Wokingham's vacancy rate is around 3%, compared with the national average of over 13%. The advent of out-of-town shopping has impacted significantly on town centres and has drawn people away from the high street. When Tesco left the town centre, many of the independent shops at the time told us they saw footfall and sales drop by up to 50%. We need to do something to bring more people back to our towns. Give them a reason to come rather than to go elsewhere. Town centres have continued to remodel themselves throughout time to reflect the needs of their communities. We need to embrace this, making sure what we deliver is the best it can be for generations to come. I have family that live in Bury St Edmunds in Suffolk. Several years ago, they drew up plans for a new shopping area adjacent to the historic town centre. Many people were sceptical. Yet fast forward to now, and it is thriving, as is the historic centre. They complement each other, and it is seen as a resounding success. When I talk to residents in Norreys, I get told by many of them that Wokingham lacks a broad enough range of shopping. They struggle to buy what they want, and there isn't enough choice. Yet there are retailers out there that will come to Wokingham if we can offer suitable retail space for their needs. For all these reasons, I support the regeneration of our town centre. In addition, the same residents often ask me why Wokingham can't offer shops as diverse as the likes of Henley and Marlow. Why can't there be more for residents to keep them local rather than making them travel further afield? We have an opportunity to create a town centre which would give our residents, their children and grandchildren what is needed right here in the town centre. The right mix across the spectrum which allows us to stand out in the local area. Our regeneration proposals can achieve this for Wokingham.
Thank you, Councillor Gray.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. I hesitate to say this, but I'm going to propose an amendment, which should be being circulated. We have written copies of it. Would you like me to wait while it's being circulated, Madam Mayor, or shall I continue? A seconder.
Seconder,
yes. Tom McCann.
For those who wish to debate this amendment, anybody else? Those who wish to debate, please show. Councillor Bray.
This is on the amendment, isn't it?
It's on the amendment, yes. Councillor Pauline Helier-Smith, please.
So did I get to make a speech first?
Yes.
Madam Mayor, I wanted to seek a point of clarification. An earlier vote extending the meeting was held at 10 o'clock. That vote under the Constitution extends the meeting for 30 minutes from that vote. Could Madam Mayor confirm that that is the case?
extend it past 10:30.
No, doesn't say that.
Let me take advice on this, members.
You really can't play this on the council. You really should be ashamed of yourself. So desperate not to debate a Lib Dem motion again like you were in November. Absolutely the same. If you want to, I'll stand up and propose it again.
Put your mic on,
propose again.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. I propose it again.
And what are you proposing exactly?
That we extend the meeting beyond 10:30, as Councillor Swaddle seems to have objected to the earlier vote. I do find this sort of game really ridiculous.
And do you have a seconder, please? Councillor McCann. All those in favour of Councillor Gray's proposal?
Sorry. But, where are we extending it to?
We're not.
Is that extending it to tomorrow morning?
30 minutes from the vote.
All right, thank you.
All those in favour of Councillor Gray's proposal, please show to extend the meeting in 30 minutes. Yeah, from now, yeah?
That's what I thought you guys were agreeing to earlier. That's why I thought it earlier.
Well, now we know where you stand,
all
don't
those
we?
against, please.
I thought,
I was against the first one.
So this is now voted down. We are not extending it about 10:30. Yeah, to clarify, we will be finishing at 10:30.
Propose this amendment.
Sorry, Councillor.
Am I going to be allowed to propose an amendment? Because
we're running out of time.
Suggested I had a speech to make tonight. Thank you, Madam Mayor. I do think this is a disgraceful meeting. We had a bit of fun earlier, which went on rather far too long, in order that you wouldn't hear a Lib Dem motion. I think you should be ashamed of yourselves. To be honest, I've rarely felt that in this council chamber, but I do feel it now. Philip, we are looking at the same regeneration, but we are clearly seeing two different things. The Conservatives see a powerful engine steaming ahead, stuffed full of exciting ideas, waving magic fairy dust over the town centre, while applauding passers-by look up in wonder. And we see a slightly out of control and over-optimistically overburdened bandwagon careering downhill before coming to rest somewhere in the middle of Elmsfield, just where it will cause the most damage. Our opposition to the most objectionable and ill-thought-out parts of the Conservative plans has caused a noticeable shift. What you're proposing now, both at Peach Place and in your current consultation on Elmsfield, is an improvement on 2013's efforts. But you have still not got the regeneration right. And our amendment is an attempt to correct some of the things you have got wrong. Much of the amendment is about minimising exposure to risk. We are aghast that financial and economic viability were not included in the 5 key principles. However, they weren't, and we have been told we cannot add them now. So the first part of our amendment seeks to include financial and economic viability in the most appropriate place we could find. The amendment also introduces the idea of breaking up the development into discrete phases, so that if one part of the regeneration doesn't have the impact expected, there would be a chance to adjust the rest of the scheme. This would also greatly reduce the risk that business would be permanently lost as a consequence of the whole town becoming a building site for the next 5 to 10 years. And finally, our amendment seeks to preserve the green space at Elmsfield for future generations. You are making a fundamental mistake in proposing to build on green space. Once it's gone, it's gone. Philip, if only you were doing what the motion claims, putting residents at the heart of it, ensuring the development integrates into the existing fabric of the town and offering something different from neighbouring towns. Instead, your plans will destroy one of the main things that makes Wokingham different, the big green space in the heart of the town. Don't do it. Accept this amendment and think again.
Tom gets the second.
Yep.
Tom gets the second.
Councillor Murphy, please, you have 1 minute.
Chair, point of order,
Thank
Chair.
you, Madam Mayor.
Point of order, Chair.
I'd just like to
Point
suggest
of
in
order,
the spirit
Chair.
of cooperation-
Point of order, Chair.
If I may, I'd like to suggest in the spirit of cooperation.
I know. Point of order, Chair. Every single motion that has been put forward to this council this evening, you have asked the seconder for the opportunity to speak. You have not done that. That's not the point. Every single time you have asked the seconder, do they wish to speak? It is not our fault that the ruling group have chosen to short circuit this evening.
What point of order is this?
246810-12.
What?
Look at that. Exactly. Go look at that.
Right. You've got 50 seconds.
Madam Mayor, very simply, I would...
Not you.
Sorry.
Thank you for the courtesy this evening. We have clearly stated, and the residents have clearly stated, there is a need for the town centre and the shopping area to be regenerated and reinvigorated. This has been a long-standing issue for the community. What we and the residents find difficult is that you are going to build on the largest green space in the town. You're not going to put any social housing in it. You're not only just risking the money of the town area, you're risking the financial viability of the whole borough. It is not your money to spend whatever you like on Wokingham Town. It is our residents' money, it is the taxpayers' money. You have a duty of care to spend it wisely. In the 3 years that I have been here, there has been increasing reports within the financial papers that come before us about the risks that you are taking, and you're not listening to residents. You're in danger through political ideology to painting this council and the residents into a corner. Thank you for the time.
And for the record members, Councillor McCann was right. He had the right as a seconder to speak. But now we are going to vote on the amendment. No more debate. We're running out of time.
No, not debate. Sorry, as a member of the planning committee, I'd like to declare an interest and will not be participating in.
I'm the same as myself.
Sorry?
Okay.
Myself, the same one.
Me too.
So all members of the planning committee are declaring an interest and will not vote.
Yes,
Thank you.
that's correct.
All those in favour of the amendment, please show.
Do you have a name for it?
Oh, well, I'm sure you're not going to be able
I can't.
So the amendment has fallen.
You haven't asked anybody who's voting against.
I assume, but yes, let's do it properly. Those against, please show. Any abstentions? No.
Yes.
Oh, yes. Councillor Baring, don't worry, we know that the planning committee members are not voting.
Exactly.
And that goes for both parties. Thank you very much. We are now going to vote on the substantive motion as proposed by Councillor Murphy. All those in favour, please show. Anyone against?
Same for.
Any abstentions? And I know about the planning committee members.
The interest, I declared the interest because Almsfield was mentioned in the amendment. I was going to speak on the substantive motion.
You're at time,
It's
you
not,
want to go home.
it's not, I do not have an interest in the substantive motion.
Thank you for that clarification. So the substantive motion is carried. Thank you very much. And good night.